Hi, I'm Galacia Pokos, and I am giving a presentation today called From the Ground Up, as it were, a case study in me, Galacia Pokos, trying to build a LGBTQIA two-spirit plus community here in the Midwest. I'd like to start probably with some introductions beyond just my name. I am a level 30 non-binary software engineer, and as I said, I am from the Midwest in the United States, and this presents me with some cool opportunities and some unique and maybe not so unique challenges. In case you were curious, that is one of my cats, Archon, in the photo there, and my spouse, Tyler, in the other photo. So this building of a community was a need that I recognized, and some of you might be asking, why would you take on something so large or so intimidating or so out there? Well, one, I'm an engineer, and engineers tend to be problem solvers. I also like to be helpful and supportive and part of the community, not just the LGBT side of things, but just locally. And in my state's largest city, where I reside, we have about 175K people. And despite that size, I don't know anybody else at my workplace who uses they, them pronouns. And I started using them a couple months back, and my workplace has been really respectful and accommodating. On top of that, in the sort of tech scene of the area, I probably only know 2 other queer folk, and that just seems like a really low number to me. I was like, there's got to be more of us out there. In general, the city and state to which I belong has a lot of room for growth. There was a lot of legislation that was trying to make its way through that was really harmful for young trans folk in the area. And in February, there was some statewide marches in protest for things like that. And so I recognized, yeah, this community in this space really needs a safe place to be themselves and to connect and network. And this is true even of something like the tech industry. So knowing there was a need, my first question was, okay, well, where do I start? And like many of you folk, during the pandemic, I was on Discord a lot and a lot of Discord servers. And so I was like, hey, that seems like a pretty good spot to kind of try and build up this community. Why not start there? And I spoke to a few friends and colleagues to try and confirm the value of that and see if it felt plausible. And I started brainstorming ways of, okay, well, after I start this, how do we make it grow? And that was the easy part, as it turns out. The first couple days, I just sent out invites to my few friends that I knew of, and they were really, really quick to accept those invites and be supportive. One of my friends even offered to moderate the server once it got to a decent size, and I was like, yes, not in this alone. Other people want this. That feels good. I started reaching out to other local groups, tech meetup groups, city inclusivity groups. I even went to the secondary school that I graduated from and asked the inclusivity group there if there was anything that I could pass on for people to kind of filter in into this space that we were trying to create, and there would be a place for them to network and build relationships, despite maybe some of the hardships faced by queer people in the Midwest. And as I started this effort, it began to blend into my workplace as well. I joined this recently formed Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, which was, one, giving me more of a chance to practice these skills, and two, hopefully allowed me to kind of come back with something to help inform how to grow and make my space better for those who would hopefully be joining. That's when feelings really started happening. I recognized that this is big. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I really, really, really want a safe space for people to come in and find resources and opportunities and mentorships, because I was struggling finding these. And on the flip side, there were all of the what ifs. what if the Midwest isn't ready for a group like this? I thought to myself, what if I was going to be getting hate for trying to just be myself and help others do the same thing? What if local folks don't feel comfortable outing themselves online? I thought to myself, there's a lot of people who are part of this community that just don't raise their heads up ever because of the discrimination that we face. And what if the local groups that I'm reaching out to resent me for encroaching upon their spaces, what have you? On the positive side, even that was a little intimidating. I wondered if the community were to ever grow to a certain size, if I would even be able to answer all the questions or issues that would arise inside of our community. And all this stuff was kind of bearing down on me, making me a little nervous. But meanwhile, back at the lab, there was a lot of stuff going on in the Discord that was really positive. There was a bunch of ideas of how to open up more doors for us. We talked about printing out a QR code to put on t-shirts so that people could scan us and join our inclusive space. There was a lot of gender and frog memes for a while, thanks to yours truly. And as June came up, there was a lot of happy Pride wishes, and that kind of grounded me and brought me back to all the positives and things that I thought that this group could be. And after a couple deep breaths, I thought through the more realistic scenarios and what was there really to worry about. Worst case scenario, my two queer friends were going to be the only audience for my frog memes. Best case scenario, it goes swimmingly and I helped to provide a safe, inclusive tech space. These are two opposite ends of a spectrum, and there's plenty of other results that could happen in between. And either way, I recognize that there's probably going to be some barriers and bumps and mishaps, but what are mistakes if not lessons to learn from? I am very excited, regardless of the bumps and bruises that we've gotten, to see where this group will go beyond just frog memes. Hopefully, it'll be a thriving Discord group that helps people feel safe and supported and feel like they, belong in the realm of tech, because there needs to be an increase of diversity there for sure. I'm hoping that it'll be a place where people can come to connect with others who are in similar waters. It'll be a place where they can find resources, opportunities, mentorships, and regardless of what people find there, I know for me, it's going to be an ongoing adventure where I'm going to continue learning about myself and hopefully growing as well, as I kind of hope this Discord group will too. And the reason I gave this presentation today was a way to kind of help other people feel comfortable maybe doing something that seems a bit intimidating. Usually if something makes you nervous and excited at the same time, it's something that you're probably doing right by pursuing. So use my failures as proof that you don't have to do things perfectly to, have them have value. You have my permission right now. I'm just telling you to go do the thing, even if it's scary, even if you're not sure of where it'll end up. So that's my parting words for you. I think I'm coming up on my time here. So if it makes sense to, we can jump into some Q&A and I'll leave you with a delightful frog meme.
That was wonderful, and I'm very happy to have your permission.
Yeah.
It's what I've always
Sometimes,
thought.
we don't like allow ourselves permission. And so sometimes you just have to have somebody else say, yeah, you have permission to fail and to learn from it. Go do the thing. So
Yeah, it's very true. Not to get too personal, but something that my dad once said to me before I moved country. He said that we often mistake our excitement for fear, and that really stuck with me because it's very true to what you just said, which is like we don't always give ourselves permission to feel that excitement. We're always concerned with the worry of what will go wrong, the what ifs. And it was super interesting to hear about the what ifs that were going on in your mind. Was there a moment? I know you talked about like that you did get through it, but was there a moment where it kind of settled in and you calmed down and you were no longer in that fight or flight of like, oh, the worst case scenario is just my two friends and these frog memes?
Yeah, I think like that was the height of my anxiety, if you will, was definitely around the time where I was maybe expecting certain things that weren't happening, or I was meeting some resistances. And what really got me through was just having it be not just my effort, but the effort of some of my friends too. And even just like telling somebody about it and having them root me on, or even like just having that Discord space there and having it go empty for a while, but then somebody make a comment of happy Pride.
Mm.
It was just like those moments and those fulfillments that kind of calmed the choppy waters, if you will. And so I say do the thing, but bring friends because friends always make things better, right?
And it's dangerous to go alone, eh?
Yeah, here, take
Um,
this, right?
so I'm really curious, actually, to hear if you could do it over again. Would you do anything differently?
Um, I think I would. I think I kind of jumped into it because it was an immediate need for me.
Mm.
If I would have been doing it regardless of my personal needs, I probably would have done just a tiny bit more research and networking before putting out the Discord. It's kind of like doing anything where you're kind of self-advertising, like a
Mm.
Kickstarter per se. You don't just want to be like, and here's the Kickstarter. You kind of want
Yeah.
to like build up some hype, some excitement, reach out to maybe some people who have more of a following or are already in touch with a community like
Mm.
that. And unfortunately, I was doing so right as people were preparing for Pride. So a lot of the inclusivity groups were probably like, freaking out for all the planning that they're doing, and me on top of it. Hey, I made this Discord. Would you like to help? And yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
the timing was probably not the greatest for me personally. But despite that, like I said, I think that like nothing will be sacrificed for me having started a little bit early. I just think it probably would have calmed my nerves and made a more positive experience for myself, and given me better feedback if I would have been doing
Yeah.
it a little more structured, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a very good point. And yeah, maybe the timing wasn't great in the middle of Pride Month, but
right.
but thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I really loved it. I learned a lot about community building and about your experiences with it. So thank you
Yeah.
again.
Well,
Um,
thank you for having me and for giving me a chance to talk about something I'm really passionate about. So
it was our pleasure, sincerely. Okay,
awesome.
so up next.